Why isn't Paige, probably what people think is, why isn't she as popular as Caitlyn? But do you think Paige should be more popular? And Paige deserves more, and Angel Reese deserves more, and Asia, and Fee, and. Yeah. I think specific to Paige, you might argue her popularity and the people that are fans of her has been underrated, which shocks me.
What happens when one of the most illustrious figures in WNBA history appears to doubt the attention being paid to Caitlin Clark? When Subbird capitalized on the Paige Bueckers buzz, she generated precisely that kind of storm. The media won't tell you this, though. Clark has already demonstrated her ability to enthrall audiences, break attendance records, and improve the performance and visibility of a whole brand. Given that Paige has obviously not yet shown herself, why does Sue Bird believe she should receive the same treatment? Stay tuned, because the answer to that query exposes the true force behind Caitlyn's ascent and why Subbird's treachery is so painful. What do you believe caused Subbird to abandon Clark, then? Please indicate here if you support Paige or Caitlyn. Comments from the internet demonstrated how offensive the comment was. Supporters deluged comment sections, accusing Bird of not just promoting Bueckers, but also limiting Clark's ascent. Some defended her by claiming that her only goal was balance. However, perception is crucial, and the optics in this instance were harsh. Even her devoted supporters agreed that Bird's claims that she wasn't bringing Caitlyn down came across as such. People conjectured that this wasn't about Paige's skill at all, but rather about preventing Clark from monopolizing attention because of her ties to the Yukon and the league's long-standing reputation for favoring some players over others.
That popular, and you're just underrating it. It's really kind of a bizarre take. I mean, if Paige is really that popular and that engaging and people are really drawn to her, we would see with Paige what we see with Caitlin Clark.
Ironically, rather than bridging the gap, Bird increased it by implying Paige deserved more. Forcing equality and popularity won't address inequality, particularly when one player is already dominating ESPN highlight reels every night while the other is still trying to find steady mainstream recognition. The attempt to fabricate a rivalry ultimately served to highlight how easily Caitlyn attracts attention. Fans began to feel that Paige needed to be supported or defended in the interim. Although Caitlyn never requested this tug-of-war, Bird's remarks created it artificially.
Clark is just exciting, guys. It's must-see TV. It's must-see TV. You plan your day around a Caitlin Clark basketball game. You wake up in the morning, what time? You go check ESPN. What time is Caitlin Clark playing? Oh, the game is at 7? All right, I'm planning everything around.
Therefore, the entire conversation reinforced what everyone already knew rather than fostering peace. Campaigns, adjustments, or validation are not necessary for Caitlin Clark's ascent. Her approach of attracting attention is effective because it is unscripted, seductive, and real. The analogies feel forced for just this reason. Because Clark continuously shifts the spotlight simply by playing the game, while reporters can speculate and legends can speak.
Paige Bueckers is not as popular as Caitlin Clark because she's not Caitlin Clark. It's so hard for the likes of Sue Bird to say that. It hurts them. So there's been a lot of scuttlebutt since Caitlin Clark announced that she's done for the season. There's been a lot of talk about how Paige Bueckers, it's time, Paige time. Do you guys not understand how basketball works? We're headed into the postseason. Paige's team has won 9 games all season.
Without anybody having to promote it, how did Caitlin Clark go from playing in her first WNBA game to being the main star on every sports program? That's what her detractors find annoying. Nothing about her ascent seems contrived. Neither a marketing campaign nor a league looking to impose a new face was the source of the fixation. It originated from her style of basketball play. Long before the league itself found out how to meet the demand, fans turned up, watched, and began purchasing her jersey. You could sense the change right away. Not only did attendance increase, but it skyrocketed, with Indiana unexpectedly taking the lead in the league in average attendance, with more than 16,000 per game. You can tell by that number alone that she is doing more than just drawing attention. She is spearheading a program that will increase the WNBA's overall media share from specialized coverage to ongoing conversation in national media venues.
It wasn't manufactured. It just happened. It is what it is. I mean, she's been out for 2 months and is still the topic of discussion. Not to mention the ratings and the attendance numbers and teams moving to arenas and the Nike deal and jersey sales and all-star votes and any way these things can be measured.
The impact extended beyond the selling of tickets. Ratings on television increased by 21%, a surge that highlights Clark's influence and draws in casual sports viewers who had not previously paid much attention. These days, it's more than just watching basketball. It has to do with observing Caitlyn. At the same time, Clark's jersey became one of the most popular products in basketball, and merchandising sales skyrocketed. These are quantifiable, tangible outcomes associated with a single player. Sue Bird insisted that Paige Bueckers should receive equal recognition in spite of these circumstances, as though playing time could somehow be used to redistribute attention. Since no player in years has moved every measurable metric as much as Clark has, that argument quickly falls apart.
Isn't as good as Caitlin Clark. Paige Bueckers isn't as fun to watch as Caitlin Clark. Her team stinks. Her team plays with zero effort. Paige Bueckers plays with no motor down the stretch because you know it's going to be a close game. You know the Wings are going to lose, and you know Paige Bueckers isn't going to show up every time. There was an opportunity with Caitlin gone for Paige Bueckers to take over. And what has Paige Bueckers done? She had a 44-point game in a loss where she didn't shoot down the stretch.
The moments that become immediate highlights are what make her ascent more difficult to ignore. It is impossible to overlook the logo threes, the whip passes that go through opponents, and those end-of-name daggers. That's what separates Clark's weekly performances from Bueckers' finest appearances. While Clark's daily highlights are promoted by every sports site as though she were the only player on the court, Paige's 44-point outburst barely made an impression outside of the basketball community. Favoritism isn't involved. It is the outcome of the person who genuinely compels viewers to pay attention. The energy that Clark contributes results in recognition that breaks records. She smashed 62 records before the end of her debut season. She also didn't stop there. Having been irrelevant for years, Indiana forced its way into 2 consecutive playoff chases. The Fever had not made the playoffs in nearly 10 years and were at the bottom of the league prior to Clark's arrival. That change is significant. Having statistics is one thing. Moving a franchise into a new category is a different matter.
And the thing is like, yeah, she might end up overtaking Caitlin Clark in points per game. She might end up overtaking Caitlin Clark in points per game. I think she might get 0.1 points per game. I think she needs like 23 or 24 points in the last game. But let's not forget, Caitlin Clark, if she had put up 22 points or something, she was going to average 20 a game last season, but she didn't play. Her and Kelsey Mitchell played 5 minutes. She didn't play in the second half. She didn't play. She played like 15 minutes. But Paige is going to have to play 40 in a meaningless game to overtake Caitlin Clark in points per game on the worst team in basketball. She's guaranteed to be the only ever Rookie of the Year to be on a last place team.
Despite the numbers, Clark's charm is found in the way she connects with others. Her vibe, not only her box office results, is what draws her fans. She's relatable and clearly a star, whether it's through her pre-game outbursts, her jokes at the referees, or the way she gestures with teammates following significant plays. She is infectious due to her charisma and authority. All of a sudden, names like Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Aaliyah Boston are familiar. Not due to a marketing campaign, but rather because Caitlyn's fame grew to the point where they wanted to join her. Every night, their teammates gain visibility, and the Fever's new look reflects that.
Gentlemen, it is over with. And you want to know what else is over? The debate that Paige is better than Caitlyn. That is over too. Because you want to know why? Because Caitlyn went to the playoffs her rookie year, and unfortunately, Paige ain't going.
Compare that to Paige's hardship. Her victories felt isolated, sometimes even buried, as a result of her team's dismal performance and inconsistent national placing. When this disparity occurs, forced comparisons break down. It is hollow when one player dominates her franchise prime time while another is unable to lift her club out of the bottom of the rankings, acting as though they both deserve the same national. Legends don't need to set up a story for Clark. The league is thriving because she created her own. And for that reason, every attempt to narrow the gap by putting Paige in the spotlight merely serves to highlight how large it already is.
When Caitlin Clark's when she's playing an unbelievable game, everyone's live tweeting the game. When Paige Bueckers has her 44-point game, you don't hear a single thing about it until after the game. And then the only reason you hear about it is because people then get their viral tweets by saying, oh, Caitlin Clark could never.
When Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers aren't even in the same industry, why does the media continuously attempting to create a rivalry between them? Fans have been seeking that since Sue Bird's Paige deserves more comment turned into something more than it was intended to be. Caitlin and Paige weren't being measured side by side on this type of stage prior to then. Both of them were exceptional guards in their own right. Nowadays, it seems that Paige's actions or inactions are brought up in every conversation on Clark's dominance, despite the fact that their situations, teams, and careers are different.
She is in dollar.
When Bird's remarks became news stories, it fueled this alleged rivalry. Suddenly, the focus moved from praising Clark's brilliance to restating the notion that Bueckers is not given enough credit. Fans were instantly divided by that framing, despite the fact that Caitlin never asked for the comparison. Media outlets effectively created a debate that would not have occurred on their own by putting that balance on paper. Paige's highlights are now viewed as Clark's counterpoints rather than being evaluated independently.
What does Paige Bueckers do? Paige Bueckers, they're down 9 points. She goes to the basket. She makes a layup, and then she rams over Kelsey Plum. Like, that's basically what she did. She scores, complains to the referee, turns around and rams over an opposing team's player, and just keeps running back on defense.
Consider the event with Kelsey Plum shove. Given the players involved, Paige's violent move ought to have made headlines, yet it hardly made it outside of WNBA circles. You can immediately observe a difference in response when you contrast it with whatever Clark performs, such as a logo 3 or a harsh foul against her. Clark is bumped. It is discussed for a whole week. Paige shoves someone. In a matter of days, it is forgotten. It isn't balanced. Exposure disparity is what that is. Furthermore, the fact that not even their disputes register in the same way demonstrates how phony the rivalry discourse is.
Lane, and there's the bump into the back of Plum.
So as you guys can see from this clip here, Paige gave her a push of a lifetime. Now, this is so unlike Paige. I mean, Paige has gotten out of character.
It's popular. Her game is kind of boring. I love her as a player. She's great. I say the same thing about Juju. It's a lot of free throws. It's a lot of elbow pull-ups. That's cool. Good hoop. Love it. It's not going to captivate an audience. People not buying tickets for it.
Clark's influence is ultimately as cultural as it is athletic. She is attracting younger people to the WNBA and, simply by association, is making competitors and colleagues household names. Even while Paige is still well-liked and has achieved a lot, her career may be more subdued and less visible than Clark's worldwide influence. And the emphasis must remain there. Not about an imaginary rivalry, but about the future of the Fever and how Caitlin's celebrity continues to elevate everyone in her vicinity. The obvious question is what that implies for Paige Bueckers as Caitlin Clark recovers from her injury. Regarding the response seems obvious to Indiana fans. Given that Clark has altered the scene in just 2 years, it hardly matters. She finished her debut season with a record-breaking amount of attention, a playoff participation, and a franchise that unexpectedly gained national recognition. In contrast, Paige's Dallas Wings, who will finish last in the league, did not produce the same level of enthusiasm. Bird's attempt to shove Paige into Clark's lane never seemed natural because of that stark difference.
Paige Bueckers isn't as good as Caitlin Clark. Paige Bueckers isn't as fun to watch as Caitlin Clark. Her team stinks. Her team plays with zero effort. Paige Bueckers plays with no motor down the stretch because you know it's going to be a close game. You know the Wings are going to lose, and you know Paige Bueckers isn't going to show up every time. There was an opportunity with Caitlin gone for Paige Bueckers to take over. And what has Paige Bueckers done? She had a 44-point game in a loss where she didn't shoot down the stretch.
The unsettling reality is that statistics don't generate buzz by themselves. At a day of specialized conversation, Paige can continue to wane even at 40 points. Clark, on the other hand, dominates SportsCenter loops for days with just one logo. We are referring to that degree of influence and reach. Additionally, it explains why the names on Indiana's roster have begun to resemble household names. Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Aaliyah Boston are no longer supporting characters. Their placement alongside Clark put them on a national stage that extends far beyond Indiana.
Entertainment. If you can't entertain the people, then you can't keep them seating and you can't keep them spending. Caitlin Clark entertains the people, and that is why Paige Bueckers is not nearly as popular as Caitlin Clark. It don't have nothing to do with sexual orientation. It don't have nothing to do with her race. It don't have nothing to do with religious beliefs. It has nothing to do with if you're Democratic, Republican, none of that.
Paige, meanwhile, hasn't had that effect on the squad. Hardcore fans may have been pleased by her 44-point performance, but without victories, those moments seem more like flashes than constant illumination. Unlike Indiana, Dallas hasn't packed arenas. They haven't increased demand for television. They haven't made any notable sales. The cultural wave that Caitlin established in a single year couldn't be duplicated even if Bueckers dropped stat lines every week for the Wings. The gap is highlighted by the business side of it. Clark's arrival is directly responsible for Indiana's league-high attendance average of more than 16,000 per game. Sales of merchandise increased, and the Fever abruptly became the main topic of national broadcasts as appointment viewing. Despite Paige's impressive rookie stats, Dallas didn't see any of that. Furthermore, it backfires when legends like Bird attempt to draw parallels since the visibility and statistics highlight how drastically different their situations are. Clark is in a good position. Her career path already demonstrates how one player can not only set records, but also grow the league and increase teammates. That is true star power. Furthermore, the visibility she has already established cannot be matched by any outside endorsement. Sue Bird or anybody else is not necessary for Caitlin Clark to feel validated. The nightly highlights, sellouts, and stats already demonstrate a surge that surpasses the anticipation. With Clark's presence elevating Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall, and Kelsey Mitchell, Indiana has emerged as the league center. That is Subbird's true story. The Fever represent the fresh spirit the WNBA seeks in the postseason. Legends may speak, but the reality is clear. Media campaigns don't need to crown or modify true stars. The supporters have already made up their minds, and they want Clark to guide Indiana forward. What you believe caused Subbird to abandon Clark, then? Please indicate here if you support Paige or Caitlin. Turn on all notifications, like, and subscribe to ensure you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next video. Click the video on the screen.